Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. The Wall Street Journal on November 1st ran an opinion piece that states that UAP sightings can be attributed to marijuana and cataracts. Now, before we get into this, this is in line with everything that's been happening since last week when the New York Times ran an article that featured quotes from anonymous Pentagon sources who basically downplayed the UAP report that was handed to Congress on Monday, October 31st. There's the classified version Congress received. Now, there's still yet to be an unclassified version that's supposed to be open for the public review. But that has, as of this recording, that has not yet happened as far as I know. But that article in the New York Times tried to downplay the whole report. And that report, from what we know, it has 366 UFO cases, and about 50% of them were explained as either Chinese spy drones or air clutter like balloons. Now, the Wall Street Journal on October 29th ran a bogus article about this too, called UFO Mystery Shouldn't Drag On. It was another bogus article basically trying to downplay the whole thing. People sick of, this guy who wrote it, sick of the whole UFO topic. And this little opinion piece that ran on November 1st in the Wall Street Journal was written by a retired Air Force pilot named Art Sabosky. And the headline for this in the Wall Street Journal states, "A pilot explains UFO sightings for the last time. The two key factors are recreational marijuana and cataracts." And let me just throw something out here. I haven't read a Wall Street Journal article in a long time. Every time I go there, it's always there's a paywall, so I usually don't get to read it. But for some reason, there's no paywall. And the New York Times article from last week, there was no paywall on that initially, at least for me. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. Isn't that funny? Anyway, let's get into this little opinion piece from Art Sabosky. It says, "I've had enough of UFOs. After 45 years as an aviation professional with thousands of hours piloting various aircraft, I am bothered that everyone else seems to know they exist except me. And after associating all these years with countless numbers of fellow pilots, I've found that they've never seen any either." Now, let's just stop there. I'm sorry to say here, Art, but just because you didn't see one doesn't mean they're not there. They don't happen. I've seen one. Of course, I'm not a pilot, but I saw one in 1994. If I didn't see it, if that didn't happen, I still wouldn't have seen one myself. You could live your whole life and not see one of these things, right? But the fact is, a lot of people do see them, and just because you didn't see them doesn't mean that they're not there. And as far as these other pilots that you're talking about, okay, so what? That's only anecdotal evidence. Are you sure that maybe some of them didn't want to tell you? You sound like a guy who doesn't believe in this. So, like, if I was a fellow pilot and I knew how you wore, like from just reading this little piece here, you sound like the kind of guy I'm not going to tell him about my UFO sighting. I'm not going to tell this guy. They probably didn't tell you. You sound like a jerk, actually. That's just my opinion. Just like this is your opinion. Okay, but I'm giving my opinion now. All right, let's continue here. When pilots gather, we just don't talk about them. What's the point? If you can't see them, there's not much to say, is there? Okay, you don't talk about them. Well, maybe they don't talk about them because they don't want to talk to you about them. Like I said, who knows? Who knows what the reason is? Just because some pilots that didn't see one, and just because you didn't see one doesn't mean other pilots didn't see them. We had a bunch of different reports from military officials saying all these pilots saw them. They all saw them. Are you suggesting that they're all smoking marijuana before they go flying around in their jet fighters? I don't know what you're getting at here. Anyway, let's continue. I admit, however, to having some envy. It would sure be nice to capture and fly an object that never runs out of fuel, never has to land, and is visible only to non-aviation people who think aliens are eating the cattle in western Nebraska. That's the most idiotic thing you basically state here. I don't know. We don't know if they have what kind of fuel they run on. There's been talk about some element 115 possibly, but we really don't know. I don't know. I never really. How do you know that they don't have fuel? Where did you hear that on some science fiction movie? I don't know. You're obviously not. You're not read up on this. Obviously, you have no education whatsoever. You're completely not qualified to talk about this because you obviously haven't done zero research. on this. So, I mean, why is that's what I'm trying to wonder here. What's wrong with the Wall Street Journal? Putting something like this in there. Who told them to do this? Was Pentagon cashing in on some favors or something? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. I don't get like why somebody would put this idiotic piece in there. It's not even funny. There's nothing funny about this. I mean, there wouldn't even be any kids that would find this funny. It's just stupid. And it's only visible. It says here, and they never have to land. What are you talking about? They never land. How do you know that? Actually, there's all kinds of cases where these UFOs are seen landing. See, again, you're totally uneducated on this. There was a guy from the Midwest named Ted Phillips who investigated thousands of landing cases, found physical trace evidence where these things landed. So, again, you're not qualified to talk about this. You have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, it's like, and the Wall Street Journal's running this piece from this idiot who has no idea what he's talking about. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Anyway. And just one more thing here. He talks about aliens eating the cattle in western Nebraska. Well, yeah, there's cattle are getting mutilated, and people have seen UFOs near them. I mean, yeah, I guess apparently you did hear a little bit about that. Yeah, they're drained of blood, and they're missing parts. They're missing eyeballs, laser precision cuts on them. Yeah, that's happening. We don't know what they're doing. I've been speculating on this podcast that they're actually using the blood. They drink the blood because some people who have seen these beings, they're they're like insects, and if that's what they are, if they're insects, if they're advanced insects, then they might be drinking blood, and maybe that's why the cattle mutilations are happening. I mean, since the 1960s, the people in the government have been trying to blame like satanic cults and stuff like that, but there's been nobody ever caught doing this yet. So, I mean, I don't know why it's not a joke. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about this. Go say this to one of these ranchers that have to deal with this on a regular basis, who end up losing cattle all the time because, and a lot of them sometimes see these UFOs. So, again, I don't think you know what you're talking about. You're not qualified to talk about this. And again, that makes you wonder, what's this opinion piece doing in a publication like the Wall Street Journal? And then he goes on, I'd like to talk with an alien too. I've got questions like, do they have lavatories on board, or is their waste invisible too? Wow, that's so funny, I forgot to laugh. I mean, I know the Wall Street Journal's not meant for kindergarten kids, because that's about the only people I know who would laugh at that joke like that. That's not even funny. It's so funny, I forgot to laugh. Anyway, here, let's continue with this. It says, well, I've had it, and I'm bringing the entire issue to a halt. Hey, good luck. Good luck with that one, man. You'll never bring it to a halt until we get to the bottom of this mystery. Continuing. The public persists in pushing the UFO phenomenon through these imagined sightings, so I'm reversing that by declaring they don't exist simply because my pilot friends and I haven't seen them. Well, sorry, buddy. Too bad you didn't see them, and they're not imagined. They're real. You're going to tell all these pilots that have been reporting them. I just a month or so ago, I remember doing a podcast where there was 65 separate Navy flyer reports, range fowler reports with all of these 65 separate incidents of UAP sightings. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's thousands of these reports over the year for the decades. I mean, again, I'm sorry that you didn't see one when you were a pilot, but. Again, maybe you're just dense or something. Maybe you were the one smoking pot on the plane because you weren't paying attention. Maybe you were daydreaming. There was UFOs all over the place, but you didn't see them because you were as high as a kite. I'm just wondering. I don't know that's just my opinion. I'm just asking. Anyway, are we aviation professionals all wrong, while a few quirky non-aviators who mostly enjoy recreational marijuana are all right? I don't think so. Wait, so basically the only people that you're saying this are people who aren't pilots, who basically are land-based and smoking pot all the time. So that's the only people seeing this are potheads, basically. That's his accusation here. What a stigma. This is the Wall Street Journal people. Wall Street Journal's putting this garbage in for the whole world to see. Millions of subscribers, one of the biggest publications in the world running this trash. Anyway, continuing. Besides, all these UFO sightings are easily explained, and I'm surprised no one has ever hit on the answer before. Cataracts, floaters too. Wow. Again, it's so funny. I can't laugh. I'm forgetting to laugh. It's not coming out. It's just not there. But it's surprising that a publication like the Wall Street Journal would put in some garbage piece like this. Basically, some guy trying to stigmatize the entire thing just because he is a pilot and for 40 plus years he never saw a UFO. Well, that's your problem. You can live your whole life and never see one. I saw one in August of 1994 on a fishing trip. It was a spur of the moment fishing trip, and if that didn't happen, I never would have saw one either. And I'm in my 50s now. So a person could live their whole life and not see them. A lot of people don't see them. And a lot of pilots don't see them either, but there are a lot of pilots who do see them. And in fact, there's been some articles this past week I've read where there was most certainly multiple pilots seeing them. But yeah, it's just surprising. I think to me what this signifies the fact that there's been an effort. There has been an effort. There's a force out there. Somebody in the Pentagon's trying to push this stuff. Somebody's telling the Wall Street Journal, somebody's telling the New York Times, hey, we're trying to downplay this. We're cashing in on some favors here. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And that's what I think is going on. I mean, I do believe that there is another faction within the Pentagon. There are definitely some elements that do want to get this out. And like I've said before, I'm hopefully, when this new National Defense Authorization Act legislation is approved and signed by the president, which will provide some whistleblower protection for people within the government and also private contracting companies that know about UFOs and extraterrestrials. That once that goes into effect, hopefully some of them start stepping forward, because they shouldn't have anything to worry about then. But yeah, isn't it funny like the Wall Street Journal would run an opinion piece like this and make a big deal out of it and blame basically the guy. I mean, it's funny that the guy's blaming recreational marijuana on it. I guess all these other pilots too that do see them. Are you saying that they're smoking dope? They're flying around in jet fighters high on marijuana. Is that what you're saying? I mean, that's what it seems like. I mean, this is junk. I mean, this is something you should. I mean, it's just, to me, this is something you would see like on a like in Reddit or something. Somebody making a stupid comment like on Reddit. That's fine, right? Not in the Wall Street Journal. Not in the Wall Street Journal. To put this guy's ridiculous, dumb comment in there. Like, to me, it's like there's an effort. There's people in there that are people that don't believe in this. Obviously, people at the Wall Street Journal, people in the New York Times who don't believe in it, who do think it's nonsense, and who have buddies within the Pentagon, who are telling them, hey, we want you to run this bogus article for us to try to downplay UFOs. That's what's going on. It's same old. They're using the same old playbook from before. It's not going to work this time. The Pandora's box is already open, man. This is a done deal. We're going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other, no matter what these morons try to do to try to stop it. It's just not going to happen. There's going to be something's going to happen, whether the aliens themselves do something, right, or some whistleblower comes forward with the 100% guaranteed no turning back evidence, right? And then people like this Art Sabosky, the New York Times, all these people that are trying to downplay it, on all these debunkers, right? They're going to look like morons in the end. I guarantee, no matter what. I mean, whether it's now or 100 years from now, at some point, right, people are going to look back at this era, right, and the people that are talking like this guy here and the debunkers and all that, they're going to look like complete absolute idiots, right? They're going to look like fools. They're going to look like the way we look now at people back in the day who were steadfast that the earth was flat. I mean, that's what they're going to look like.